Area Transit, Michael Lambert.
Yes.
Town of Plymouth, Lee Hartman.
Yes.
Town of West Bridgewater, Meredith Anderson.
I don't know, she muted, Charlie?
While she's unmuting, let's go to Whitman, Dan Salvucci.
Yes.
Old Colony Planning Council, Charles Kilmer, yes. Meredith, can you hear us? Well, that's 6 of the 8, so that passes.
All right. So can we move on to the next agenda item, which should be agenda item 4, I believe, which is the update from the Brockton Area Transit. Mike, you want to go ahead?
Sure. Thank you, Chair. Our updates are mostly good news. Our first and foremost, our staff continue to maintain their health and safety, which is of course our top priority in this period. Other good news is on the revenue front. We received a number of grants that we're happy to report here. First, we received from the MassDOT's Community Transit Grant Program, we received continued funding for our Avon Stoughton service beyond ADA, as well as our Rockland Flex Ride service. So thank you very much to MassDOT and the federal government for that. We also received a grant for help with defray the costs of 9 new dial-bat vans, which is excellent. We worked with the Boston UZA over the past 2 weeks to divide up the second round of federal relief in the part of the CRISA Act, and worked closely with the T and the other metro area RTAs to divide that up fairly. And that will really help maintain service over the next 2 fiscal years as fare box revenue starts to come back, hopefully. And then finally, received a new grant from MassDOT Shared Streets Program. This is a winter placemaking grant designed to make transit use more comfortable, both in terms of general winters and in terms of this winter in particular with the BAT Center closed. So we received a grant for 10 new shelters and heat for the BAT Center platform, which will be awesome. So thank you to MassDOT for that as well. Any questions?
No, excellent.
Anyone have any questions for Mike? All right, Mike, thank you. All right, Charlie, we're up to agenda item 5, which is an update from District 5. Pam, you want to go ahead?
I believe Barbara is on the meeting and was planning to give the
Right.
update.
I am. Thank you.
Barbara.
Pam. Thank you, Charlie. The regional, I'll do the regional updates first. Eastern corridor improvements on Depot Street from Newell Circle to Washington. The bids were opened on this project on the 12th, and the apparent low bidder is RJV Construction Corporation. Pembroke, that would be Route 36 from 27 to 14. There was a second utility meeting held last week, and we are waiting for the revised PS&E, and the project is scheduled to be advertised December of 21. Let's see, we're in 23 now. So Brockton intersection improvements at 123 and Plymouth Street on schedule, 25% to do June of this year. Stoughton intersection improvements and related work at Central Street, Canton Street, and Tosca Drive. 25% review has been completed. Next steps are the comment resolution meeting, design public hearing, and utility site walk. In 25, we have Brockton intersection improvements at Lyman Street, Grove Street, Summer Street, and replacement of the Grove Street Bridge. The revised 25% plans are due in September. Abington intersection improvements at Hancock Street and Chestnut Street. Pre 25% plans have been reviewed and the 25s are due in March of this year. Duxbury signal installation at Route 3, northbound, southbound ramps and Route 3A. We are waiting to hear from the town on this project. That's it for those updates. And I have a couple of construction updates for you guys. Most of the jobs have been shut down for the winter, but I do have the Holbrook 139 Union Street resurfacing related work has been awarded to RM Pacella. And I'm not sure if the notice to proceed has gone out on that yet. East Bridgewater, Route 18 roadway reconstruction and related work. They are working on the head wall on Route 18 as of right now. The Pembroke Route 53 resurfacing project, tree trimming was completed in December and they have shut down for the winter. Let's see, Whitman, the Route 18 at 14 and 27 intersection improvements. Locations 1 and 2 have been paved to intermediate course and the temporary markings were installed for the winter and they have since shut down for the winter. Let's see, what's this one? Route 3 Hanover, Rockland. The contractor has submitted the lighting plan and detour plan. Milling operations have been done in the northern section and they have shut down for the winter. The Abington, Brockton, North Quincy and Chestnut intersection improvements. They have paved the base course and intermediate course project-wide. Street lights are up and the roundabout is functional. Utility relocations are complete and they have shut down for the winter. Brockton 123 Phase 3. They received the notice to proceed, I believe, in October, and they're working on like laying out baselines and mass on foundations. And let's see, I think they've received the notice to move ahead with test pits and tree cutting in that area. That's it for construction updates, but I also wanted to remind everybody that Shared Streets Round 3 has started, and they'll be accepting applications until January 29th for this round. And also, though that is for notice of award on February 26th. And that's my updates. Thank you.
Thanks, Barbara. Any questions for Barbara? All right, seeing that, Pam, do you want to add anything?
No, other than the fact, Barbara, you did a great job and I think you covered everything. And if anybody has any questions, feel free to reach out to us.
All right, thank you both.
Thank you.
All right, we're on to agenda item 6, which is tip amendments. Charlie, I believe we don't have anything, right?
That's correct. We're gonna move this to next month.
Okay, so we're on to agenda item 7, which is performance-based planning and master proposed calendar for the year 2021 highway safety performance measure targets. I believe Ben's going to be in this.
Yep, that's
Hey, go
me.
Ben.
Morning, everyone. So I'm Ben Muller with the Office of Transportation Planning here at MassDOT. I'm just here to present the calendar year 2021 safety targets for the Old Colony MPO's consideration. So these, there's 5 targets in this set. They're part of the Federal Performance Target Setting Program. It's been going on for a few years now, so these probably look familiar at this point. So we set the safety targets annually. So MassDOT set our safety targets at the beginning of September of 2020, and we based those on projections from 5-year averages of available crash data that comes through the police departments and into our crash data set. So the MPOs have the option of supporting statewide targets or developing region-specific targets, but historically MPOs have decided to support the federal statewide targets and develop region-specific targets independent of the federal performance measurement program through the long-range plan. So the first 2 targets here that you can see with the bar chart are for total fatalities and for the fatality rate. So this measure has been slowly decreasing year over year. So MassDOT's adopted target for calendar year 2021 reflects that. When looking at the graph, the gray bars are the years for which we have actual data, and the blue bars are projected data. And the red dashed line is sort of a trend line through those for the fatality rate. So for 2021, we've set a target of 339 with a rate of 0.55 fatalities per 100 million vehicle miles traveled. For the next one. Let's see. So the next two targets, these are parallel to the fatality targets, but these represent serious injuries. So the number and rate of serious injuries has also been decreasing, but as you can see, it's been decreasing a little more rapidly. And our targets also reflect that decrease. So similar to the last one, the gray bars are actual data and the blue ones are projected. For total serious injuries for 2021, MassDOT set a statewide target of 2,580, and that's a rate of 4.23 serious injuries per 100 million vehicle miles traveled. And then the final target we have here is a little different. So this one is the combination of fatalities and serious injuries for non-motorized users. So the non-motorized mode is, people walking, people biking, and also a few sort of more uncommon modes, people on skateboards and other sort of mobility devices that don't have motors. This measure does not have a rate accompanying it because we don't really have meaningful data on travel rates at this point for those modes, but we are sort of working towards developing that data. The trends on this target are a bit more complex, as you can see. So there is a sort of an increase in the combined injuries and fatalities for non-motorized modes up through the 2016 5-year average there. But it's been thankfully decreasing since then. So historically, we've set a target of holding the line, sort of set the target at the current rate and saying that we don't want any more. But now that they're actually decreasing, we can set a target that's lower than our actual because we think that number is going to continue decreasing. So we've set a target of 506 total fatalities and serious injuries for 2021 here. All right, and I believe we also had some regional data, is that correct? So here we have the numbers specifically for the Old Colony planning region. So I can't quite read this on my screen here, but a bit bigger here. But as you can see, the numbers are obviously significantly lower than the statewide area because the statewide area we're including the Boston region, which has an outsized number of injuries and fatalities. But you can see that these figures are overall reducing sort of across each measure within the Old Colony planning region. I think that does it for my presentation here. So MassDOT's requesting that the MPO consider a vote to support the statewide targets for calendar year 2021.
All right. Does anyone have any questions?
Yeah, I do. Dan from Whitman.
Go ahead, Dan.
Okay, thank you. Just look at these numbers. Does MassDOT, when they see a particular area where there's a significant amount of crashes, I know like our police department would come to us, the Board of Selectmen, and ask us to put a letter to Old Colony Planning Council to check an intersection. But does MassDOT, if they recognize an intersection or an area that has a higher percentage of accidents, contact Old Colony Planning Council so that we can go out and check that intersection and review it?
Yes, so our safety group works sort of every year to update the top crash locations across the state. And then they work with the districts to set up RSAs where it makes sense, to work with the MPO where it makes sense. So some of the RSAs that Old Colony does every year are requested by the district and the district participates in those. A lot of the top locations are also on the interstate system. And so those have sort of a different approach because you can't really do an RSA at those locations. But they do go and look at the data and try to figure out what the causing factors are there. So you can sort of see that process. We publish our strategic highway safety plan, and I think our most recent ones from last year. So you can kind of see sort of what the approach that the MassDOT safety section does through that plan.
Yeah, because my thinking is things like Route 24 or Route 3. I mean, those are very high crash areas only because of the speed of the vehicles and possibly the condition of the road and mostly driver, the way, drivers are driving. But I mean, those are issues that we've been looking at for years and wondering how we can correct that. It's just a tough situation. Okay, my thoughts. Thank you.
Just to
Anyone
follow
else?
up on Ben's point on the
Sure.
strategic highway safety plan, there are
Yep.
multiple emphasis areas within that plan, such as speeding and aggressive driving, lane departure crashes, occupant protection, bicyclist protection, et cetera. So as Ben mentioned, the lane departure, the Old Colony MPO is undertaking a road safety audits at multiple locations task. Bill McNulty is going to be speaking to that agenda item later on. But MassDOT has a top 5% crash cluster that they work with MPOs across the state to originate road safety audits at high crash locations on the state highway, and then work with MPOs to conduct road safety audits at high crash locations as well. And then those projects result in sometimes low-cost countermeasures that can be implemented by communities where the state in a quick turnaround timeframe, or there could be a combination of longer-term projects through the Transportation Improvement Program and the State Transportation Improvement Program. So it's a unified effort by and between MassDOT and the MPOs and the planning partners in the community.
Thank you.
All right, anyone else have any questions or comments? All right, would someone like to make a motion to endorse these safety targets?
I'll make a motion, Dan Salvucci, Whitman.
Is there a
Lee
second?
Hartman, second.
All right, any further questions? Seeing none, Charlie, can you read the roll?
Yes, MassDOT, Steve Wolfel,
Yes.
MassDOT, Pam Hasner,
Yes.
Brockton Area Transit, Michael Lambert,
Yes.
Town of Plymouth, Lee Hartman,
Yes.
Town of West Bridgewater, Meredith Anderson,
Yeah.
Town of Whitman, Danielle Salvucci,
Yes.
Old Colony Planning Council, Charles Kilmer, yes. Has, I believe Chike from the city of Brockton has joined us. Chike, are you willing to act on behalf of Mayor Sullivan?
Is she muted?
Yes.
A yes from Chike, so unanimous. Thank you.
All right, thank you, everyone. So I guess we're on to our next agenda item, which is agenda item 8. It's a federal fiscal year 2021 update of the UPWP road safety audits at multiple locations. And it's Bill. Take it over, Bill.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chair. It's kind of apropos following up on Ben's great presentation there on the performance safety targets, because this is, and as Charlie mentioned, this is a kind of a direct result effort to kind of jumpstart addressing those safety targets. We have a variety of components in our work program each year that we can work with the state and addressing high crash locations. So, getting to Mr. Salvucci's question, we do work with the state closely, and so we have like the local technical assistance program, like Dan mentioned. You send a request to OCPC. We have safety management. So we're doing this project in our UPWP this year, looking at high crash locations throughout the region and doing a series of road safety audits. Our original goal was to do 15 to 20 locations. These locations were selected based on a combination of looking at our internal database where we rank intersection safety performance based on it's called the EPDO methodology, which equivalent to property damage only. So we have this internal database that we update continuously as new data is received each year, and it gives us an idea of the most hazardous locations in the region. But it was also done in consultation with the communities. So the first couple months of this program, which started in October, was that combination of looking through our internal database and also working with the communities and coming up with a list. I said, our original goal was to do 15 to 20 locations. it quickly blew up on us. For one thing, there's a lot of locations that came off that internal list that either we haven't done anything in the last 10 years or so, or we couldn't find records of anything being done at all. And then, then the consultation with the communities, some other locations came up with. So we ended up with a big list, and we trimmed it down a little bit. Now it's down to 27 locations in 13 of our 17 municipalities. So, and you can see on your screen, as Charlie's advanced, some these audits have been basically, these locations have basically been grouped into audits. So if we have multiple ones in a particular community, we're going to do them all. We're going to do them on the same day. And then in the case of Brockton, they'll be broken into 3 separate audits. We noticed 3 particular clusters in the city of Brockton: Warren Ave, Oak Street, and let's see, Warren and Ave and Oak Street. Those are 2 clusters that kind of jumped at us on the list. So we're targeting those. These road safety audits will be virtual because of the ongoing pandemic and state of emergency. So it'll be a group of staff facilitating the audit online. We'll also have staff in the field. So if a question comes up, hey, what does the pedestrian crossing, for example, look at this location? We'll have a staff member out in the field that can actually do that on the spot. Or if want to get an updated look, we'll have photography and video of these intersections collected in advance, and so audit participants will be able to review it well in advance, and we'll also review it during the audit. So it's going to be a good process, and the idea is that targeting these locations, it'll give a good jump start to addressing those performance safety targets and supplement our other planning efforts, safety planning efforts that go towards addressing those targets. And I think the vision is that this is by far not an end product. This will be kind of a ongoing process. I don't know if we'll necessarily have a RSA project of the scope in the next work programs, but certainly even beyond this, we'll be doing our RSAs. And the beautiful thing about our RSAs is, while it can identify a big ticket item like a roundabout or traffic signal, the real goal of it is these lower cost initiatives that can go a long way to addressing safety and improving safety at a location. We've had locations in our region where just a few simple striping and sign changes have made a great impact in reducing injuries. While reducing both injuries and frequency of crashes. So that's the ultimate goal here. So we have this finalized list now. We're rolling. We hope to start doing these audits next month in February. They'll be carried out throughout the program year through August. And so if anyone has any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
All right, any questions for Bill? I don't see any. All right, thank you, Bill.
Thank you.
So the next agenda item are administrative matters of the business and date and time of next meetings. Charlie, you have stuff you want to go over?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. So up on your screen is a list of upcoming meetings through the 3C document preparation and review and release to public comment, and MPO reconvene and endorse. So typically within this series of meetings, the MPO will develop a preferred set of projects for the annual update of the TIP, release that to a public review, reconvene, hear public comments, and consider endorsement or revise based on substantial public comments. So typically the MPO within the April to May timeframe will release the TIP and then typically endorse in May. And the UPWP may follow that same cycle, April to May, or it may be May to June. I would point out, within this time frame here will also be the review, update, and presentation to the MPO of a new draft public participation plan. It's envisioned that this may be released to a public comment period in March or April. Part of the update of this plan will include the addressal of virtual public meetings and expansion of virtual public engagement, but also to address one of the recommendations from the Transportation Planning Certification Review, which requested the inclusion and development and inclusion of some type of measures of effectiveness on your actual public participation. And I know Paul Chenard created a measures of effectiveness report in December, and that was distributed. Quantifies and qualifies the efforts of the MPO on public engagement, and I think Paul did a really nice job documenting that effort. But one of the things would be to include that measures of effectiveness mechanism within the public participation plan itself. So that would be another item to include. So to make a long story short, on the schedule of the MPO meeting, February 16th at 10 o'clock, it's proposed to be the next meeting. I do have some other updates to share with the MPO.
All right, go ahead, Charlie.
So MassDOT, the Rail and Transit Division, is hosting and expanding mobility with the Community Transit Grant Program on January 26th. Here's some information up on the screen. And we're going to include this announcement in our upcoming newsletter as well. Next, Mass Councils on Aging, Mass Mobility, and the Alzheimer's Association are holding a dementia-friendly transportation driver training series on March 3rd and March 9th. And the Massachusetts Service Alliance has announced a COVID-19 resiliency grant program. Applications are due on February 5th. And last but not least, the Massachusetts Department of Fish and Game has released an announcement for culvert replacement municipal assistance program. And you can see the website on the bottom of the screen here. And we'll include this in our newsletter as well. So that's the last announcement that I have.
Anyone else have anything? Anyone have any questions for Charlie? All right, seeing none, I guess we're on the last one, Charlie, which would be adjournment.
Yes, that would be correct.
All right, can I get a motion and a second to adjourn?
Motion, Dan Salvucci Whitman.
Second,
Second,
Lee
Mary
Hartman.
Anderson, West Bridgewater.
All right, all in favor of adjourning, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Any abstentions? All right, thank you, everyone. Continue to be safe and we'll see you soon. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Charlie, and everybody at Old Colony Plan Council.